Listen to me carefully. You don't need a new year. You don't need a new month. You don't even need 12 months to turn your life around. You need 1 week. Just one. 7 days of decision. 7 days of discipline. 7 days where you stop negotiating with your excuses and start commanding your future. People think change takes years. That success is some distant mountain you climb slowly, painfully, maybe someday. But what they don't understand is this. Your life doesn't change when the calendar changes. Your life changes when you change. And that can happen in a moment. A decision. A line drawn in the sand. 2026 is not going to magically fix you. A new year won't make you disciplined. It won't wake you up early. It won't silence your distractions. That's your job. And if you give me 1 week, one focused, relentless, locked-in week, you can create a shift so powerful that your entire trajectory changes. Because here's the truth. Most people don't have a life problem. They have a habit problem. They have a focus problem. They have a consistency problem. And those problems don't require 365 days to fix. They require commitment. Imagine this. For 7 days, you wake up early, no snooze button. For 7 days, you move your body. For 7 days, you feed your mind with something powerful instead of poison. For 7 days, you cut off the distractions that are stealing your future. No scrolling, no complaining, no excuses. Just work, just focus, just growth. That kind of week doesn't just change your schedule. It changes your identity. And once your identity shifts, everything shifts. The way you speak changes. The way you walk changes. The way you respond to problems changes. You stop acting like a victim of your circumstances and start moving like the architect of your destiny. You don't fix your entire life in 1 week by achieving everything. You fix it by proving to yourself that you can control yourself. That's the real victory. Because once you master a week, you can master a month. Once you master a month, you can master a year. And when you master your time, you master your life. So the question isn't, can you change in 2026? The real question is, are you willing to go all in for 7 days? No half effort. No backup plan. No waiting for the perfect moment. 7 days. That's all it takes to wake up the person you were meant to become. The power of one decision is the most underestimated force in your entire life. People think transformation is about resources, connections, luck, or timing. But none of those things move until you move. And you don't move because you feel ready. You move because you decide. One clean, undeniable, non-negotiable decision can split your life into 2 chapters, before and after. Every breakthrough begins with a moment where you stop tolerating the version of yourself that's been settling. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just you sitting alone, realizing you're tired of your own excuses. That moment is powerful, because in that moment, you either go back to comfort or you step into responsibility. A decision is not a wish. It's not, I'll try. It's not, let's see what happens. A real decision closes doors. It burns ships. It removes the option of going back to who you used to be. When you decide to wake up early, you don't ask yourself in the morning if you feel like it. When you decide to get disciplined, you don't negotiate with laziness. When you decide to change your life, you stop waiting for motivation to show up, and you start moving regardless of how you feel. Most people stay stuck because they never truly decide. They're interested, but not committed. They want better, but they don't want uncomfortable. They hope for change, but they protect their habits. And hope without decision changes nothing. One decision can change your circle. One decision can change your standards. One decision can change how you speak to yourself. The day you decide that excuses are no longer acceptable is the day your growth accelerates. The day you decide that discipline is your new identity is the day your future starts taking shape. Think about it. Your current life is the result of previous decisions. The jobs you took, the people you allowed in, the habits you repeated, the risks you avoided. Every outcome traces back to a choice. So if choices built your current reality, new choices can rebuild it. The power isn't in the week. The power isn't in the year. The power is in the decision that starts it. And once you make that decision, you protect it. You guard it. You act in alignment with it, even when it's inconvenient. Because that single moment of certainty becomes the foundation for everything that follows. It becomes the standard you measure yourself against. It becomes the internal command that says, we don't go back. Your entire life can begin shifting the second you stop debating and start deciding. Owning your mornings is about owning the first battle of the day. And the first battle determines the tone of everything that follows. The moment your alarm goes off, you're faced with a choice: comfort or control. If you hit snooze, you've already told your mind that comfort wins. If you get up immediately, you've already established authority over yourself. That small act may seem insignificant, but it sets a psychological standard. It tells your brain who's in charge. Most people lose their day before it even begins. They wake up late, rush through everything, check their phones, and immediately allow the world to dictate their mood. Notifications, messages, comparison, noise. Before they even stand up fully, their focus is scattered. Their energy is reactive. And a reactive morning creates a reactive life. When you own your morning, you flip that pattern. You wake up with intention. You create silence before noise. You move your body before the world moves you. You feed your mind before social media feeds it for you. That hour in the morning becomes sacred. It becomes your training ground. And how you train is how you perform. Waking up early isn't about impressing anyone. It's about creating space. Space to think. Space to plan. Space to breathe. Space to build. In that quiet time, you're not distracted. You're not rushed. You're not reacting. You're preparing. And preparation builds confidence. When you start your day prepared, you step into challenges differently. You're not overwhelmed. You're ready. Owning your morning also builds discipline fast. It's hard. That's why it works. Getting up when you don't feel like it strengthens something inside you that nothing else can. It teaches you that feelings are temporary, but standards are permanent. And once you learn to move without waiting for motivation, you become dangerous in the best way. Your morning routine becomes proof. Proof that you can keep promises to yourself. Proof that you can act in alignment with your goals. Proof that you're not controlled by mood, weather, or convenience. And that proof builds momentum. Momentum is everything. When you win the morning, you carry that energy into your work. You make better decisions. You waste less time. You feel sharper, more intentional, more grounded. It's not magic. It's structure. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a consistent one. Wake up, move, reflect, plan, grow, repeat. When you control the first hour, you control the direction of the day. And when you control enough days, you begin to control your life. On your mornings, and you stop chasing time. You start commanding it. Cutting off distractions and excuses is where real transformation begins. Not when you feel inspired. Not when you buy a new planner. Not when you announce your goals to the world. It begins the moment you remove the things that are quietly draining your focus and protecting your comfort zone. Distractions are dangerous because they don't look dangerous. They look harmless. 5 minutes scrolling. One more episode. One more conversation. One more delay. But those small moments stack up, and before you realize it, they've stolen hours, days, even years. Distractions don't destroy your life overnight. They dilute it slowly. And excuses? Excuses are even more subtle. They sound reasonable. I'm tired. I'll start tomorrow. I don't have enough time. I'm waiting for the right moment. But the right moment rarely comes. And time is rarely found. It's made. Every excuse is a shield protecting you from discomfort. And growth only lies on the other side of discomfort. When you decide to fix your life in a week, the first sacrifice is distraction. You cannot build focus while feeding interruption. You cannot build discipline while entertaining delay. For 7 days, you have to become ruthless. Ruthless with your time. Ruthless with your attention. Ruthless with your standards. That might mean deleting certain apps. Turning off notifications. Saying no to invitations. Limiting conversations that don't move you forward. It might mean facing boredom instead of escaping it. Because when you remove distraction, you're left alone with your thoughts. And that's uncomfortable. But that's also where clarity lives. Clarity shows you what really matters. It forces you to see how much time you've been wasting. It forces you to confront habits that feel good but lead nowhere. And once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. Cutting off excuses requires ownership, radical ownership. No blaming your background. No blaming your circumstances. No blaming other people. You take full responsibility for where you are and where you're going. That level of accountability is heavy, but it's powerful because when it's your responsibility, it's also within your control. For 1 week, imagine living without excuses. If you say you'll wake up at 5, you wake up at 5. If you say you'll work out, you work out. If you say you'll study, you study. No internal debate. No emotional negotiation. Just action. That kind of clarity creates speed. When distractions are gone and excuses are silenced, your energy becomes focused. And focused energy multiplies results. Your life doesn't need more entertainment. It needs more intention. And intention requires cutting off anything that competes with your future. Discipline over motivation is the shift that separates people who dream from people who execute. Motivation feels powerful, but it's unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you feel unstoppable. Other days you feel tired, distracted, or uninspired. If your progress depends on how you feel, your progress will always be inconsistent. That's why discipline matters more. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation says, I'm excited to start. Discipline says, I'm starting whether I'm excited or not. And when you're trying to fix your life in 1 week, you don't have time to wait for excitement. You need standards. Think about it. The days you don't feel like waking up early are the days that shape you the most. The workouts you almost skip are the ones that build the strongest mindset. The tasks you delay are usually the ones that move your life forward. Discipline forces you to confront resistance instead of running from it. When you rely on motivation, you negotiate with yourself. You say, maybe later. I'll do it when I'm in the mood. Just 5 more minutes. But discipline eliminates negotiation. It creates rules, and rules create stability. For 1 week, if you decide that your word is final, everything changes. If you schedule something, you do it. If you commit to something, you finish it. You don't ask how you feel about it. You simply execute. That builds self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Most people don't lack talent. They lack consistency. They start strong and fade fast. They push hard for a day or two, then slip back into comfort. Discipline prevents that cycle. It keeps you moving on the days motivation disappears. The powerful thing about discipline is that it gets easier, not because the work becomes lighter, but because you become stronger. The first few days feel uncomfortable. Your mind will resist. It will look for shortcuts. It will try to convince you to rest before you've earned it. But every time you choose discipline, you weaken that resistance. And over 7 days, something incredible happens. You stop seeing discipline as punishment. You start seeing it as freedom. Freedom from laziness. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from regret. Because when you consistently do what needs to be done, you eliminate the guilt that comes from knowing you could have done more. Motivation can spark a beginning, but discipline sustains transformation. If you want a different life, you need a different standard. And discipline is the standard that turns intention into reality. Building momentum in 7 days is how you turn a short burst of effort into a long-term transformation. Most people underestimate momentum because they're focused on massive results. They want dramatic change overnight. But real power doesn't come from one huge action. It comes from small, consistent wins stacked back to back without interruption. Momentum is psychological. When you complete a task you promised yourself you would do, your brain registers a win. When you wake up on time 3 days in a row, that's a win. When you choose discipline over distraction repeatedly, that's a win. Those wins create belief. And belief changes behavior. In the beginning, everything feels forced. You have to push yourself to act. You have to override old habits. You have to consciously choose growth. But after a few days of consistent action, something shifts. It becomes easier to continue than to quit. That's momentum. Think of it like pushing a heavy object. The first push is hard. The second push is still hard. But once it starts moving, it takes less effort to keep it rolling. Your habits work the same way. The first disciplined morning feels uncomfortable. By day 5, it starts to feel natural. By day 7, it starts to feel like identity. Momentum removes overthinking. When you're in motion, you don't question yourself as much. You act, you execute, you follow through, and that consistency builds confidence quickly. You begin to see yourself differently, not as someone who talks about goals, but as someone who honors them. 7 days of momentum can rewire how you see effort. Instead of seeing hard work as painful, you begin to see it as progress. Instead of seeing sacrifice as loss, you see it as investment. Instead of fearing discipline, you depend on it. The key is not perfection. You don't need flawless days. You need committed days. Even if you stumble slightly, you don't stop. You adjust and continue. Momentum thrives on continuation, not perfection. By the end of 7 focus days, you won't just have completed tasks. You'll have built proof. Proof that you can change quickly. Proof that you can stay consistent. Proof that your old patterns are not permanent. And once you experience that shift, you won't want to go back. Because momentum feels powerful. It feels controlled. It feels intentional. And when you build enough of it, your life starts moving in a direction that matches your vision instead of your comfort zone. So if this message fired you up and you're ready to build unstoppable momentum in 2026, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.